recent study abstract on their official website. And that study, it expressed concerns regarding an elevated risk of heart disease resulting from mRNA vaccines. And so, as usual with these types of things, people posted the link to that study on their Twitter accounts so their friends, family, and colleagues could go on over to the American Heart Association website and read the study for themselves. However, many people did not click on the link to that particular study. Why? Because Twitter, they slapped an unsafe label on that post. Let me just repeat that. Twitter, the big company, the big platform, they slapped an unsafe label on a post from the official American Heart Association website, meaning that when you click on the link, you are shown this page here, which says, warning, this link may be unsafe. The link you are trying to access has been identified by Twitter or our partners as being potentially spammy or unsafe in accordance with Twitter's URL policy. This link could fall into any of the below categories. However, it is again worth noting that the URL in question actually goes directly to the American Heart Association website. And so the big question is, why exactly was it marked as being unsafe? Well, the study that the American Heart Association posted expressed concerns about the risk of heart disease. Specifically, the abstract itself, it was titled, Abstract 10712, mRNA COVID vaccines dramatically increase endothelial inflammatory markers and ACS risk as measured by the pulse cardiac test, a warning. And the author of that particular study, he outlined the evidence that mRNA vaccines contribute to factors that predict an elevated risk of acute coronary syndrome, which, again, according to the author, quote, can lead to inflammation on the endothelial and T-cell infiltration of cardiac muscle and may account for the observations of increased thrombosis, cardiomyopathy, and other vascular events following vaccination. However, that is exactly where the issue lies. Because previously, the warning system that Twitter had in place, it was only used in cases of spam, malware risks, as well as other deceptive means of soliciting clicks or soliciting information. However, the scope of this warning system has now been expanded to include, quote, violent and misleading content that could lead to real-world harm and certain categories of content that, if posted directly on Twitter, are a violation of the Twitter rules. And I guess that is exactly where this study falls, because according to Twitter's system, this study falls either into the category of potentially causing real-world harm by decreasing people's likelihood of getting a vaccine, or it just broadly falls into a category of content that they disallow. Although the second point is questionable, because on Twitter, you see many studies that are posted without incident. And so the system, it has to somehow judge which studies are good and which aren't. And how do they exactly do that? Well, nobody knows. Now, you should know that the study in question here, the one from the American Heart Association that was marked as being a risk, is currently not peer-reviewed. And also, the American Heart Association Journal, they did publish an expression of concern regarding that particular abstract by saying this on November the 24th. There are several typographical errors. There is no data in the abstract regarding myocardial T-cell infiltration. There are no statistical analyses for significance provided, and the author is not clear that only anecdotal data was used. And so the debate rages on. However, regardless of the contents of the study abstract itself, this story marks a real development for Twitter because it shows that they are willing to stigmatize information that their system does not want to be shared, even if that information comes from an organization that's widely known and respected, such as the American Heart Association. Now, we here at the Epoch Times, we did reach out to Twitter for comment on this matter, and we also asked them whether this has anything to do with the change of executive leadership, but we have yet to hear back. Regardless, though, I would like to mention that I have no opinion on these studies themselves. I'm not a scientist, and these studies are very technical, and they require scientists to dig through and analyze the data for themselves. However, I believe that it is worth knowing that we as Americans deserve to know that the platforms that we rely on for sharing information are actively engaged in censorship. Now, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they have good motives behind their censorship efforts, but regardless, it is my job to report to you what those censorship